Hi VC, Mick back, this time with a vinyl manifest, and it's for 3 months, March, April and May, and it's a big one, so strap yourselves in, we're in for a long ride. Okay, let's start off with the Australian reissues. Okay, something a bit quirky here, featuring guitar, trumpet, electric violin, percussion, synthesizers and sound effects, and that's the key element here of the album by Helen Ripley Marshall, Green Chaos, a little gem of the Australian avant synth underground, reissued straight into the new releases from Australia. You've heard me wax lyrical about Winter Garden Records before, and this time we have a 10-inch by the band Casino, and it is a lathe cut process, and there we go, that's the vinyl. And Winter Garden Records, being the conglomerate they are, also have their own chip, which makes sense for a band called Casino, of course. This is Anico death rock, definitely got a harsh goth vibe on this one. Very limited and recommended. Okay, more Australian new releases. Let's start off with Jim Thirlwell, and otherwise known as Fetus. Jim Thirlwell resides in New York, and this is his latest album, released late in December 2025. So making it onto the 2026 list, we have some fantastic inners there. And it is a double album, so you do get another one. The album's called Halt, and it comes on red vinyl. Good to see Thirlwell still in the game when it comes to Australian avant-garde musicians. He's certainly at the very peak. Okay, a surprise return. Eddie Current Suppression Ring featuring Mikey Young, everyone's favourite wire, post-punk, edgy punk band. This one came out from Out of the Blue, this release. No one really knew it was coming out. These guys are so legendary. They are afforded the luxury of being able to release when they want, and part of their I guess charm is they're a little bit enigmatic. This is the inner sleeve come poster. They're also touring the country. You do get a sticker with this, and the Brisbane show has already sold out. I didn't even know it was going to happen. Anyway, here's hoping I might luck into a ticket. Eddie Current Suppression Ring. This continues on with their great run of albums. The one people most seem to like is Rush to Relax, and I do enjoy that one as well. It's a bit more rock than the others, and I think that's where they definitely fit in. They are weird punk, but they definitely have a rock element to them. Okay, other great albums released by Australian bands. This one is Station Model Violence, featuring Daniel Stewart, who runs a pretty good record shop in Melbourne. Once again, you have your post-punk influenced situation, but this time the Velvets are definitely there, as is half of the Flying Nun catalogue. On the SSR label, and comes through, now we can see SR2 there, sorry, on the Anti-Fade label, and certainly one of the albums to watch for this year. Okay, some more guys back, and it's the Sacred Cowboys. features Mark Ferry, who was in the Models. The good thing about this is these have maintained their brand of, well, I call it swamp rock. In Australia, it's definitely swamp, but it's somewhere between the blues of the Gun Club and the darkness of Christian Death, but a whole heap of rock involved in there as well. Comes with an inner sleeve. And Gary Gray remains on vocals. An interesting continuation of the band that have existed since the 80s. I don't think too many bands are making albums like these anymore. So when I hear them, I really enjoy them. And this one was a real surprise for me. Okay, so that's the Australian section. Let's get things a little bit jazzy, and we'll start off with a favourite label of mine. Most people will recognise this. This is International Anthem, and this is Jeff Parker. He who's played with Tortoise and Chicago Underground Duo and their various incarnations. This is features two side-long pieces like swimwear and Happy Today, recorded at Highland Park in LA. Jeff plays electric guitar with electronics. Jay Belrose plays drums and percussion, and Anna Butters handles acoustic bass. Jeff Parker continuing to supply fresh jazz with an electric guitar twinge. Definitely worth your while. Okay, we have one here featuring Vito Ricky, but two big names here, Rashid Ali and Bird Lancaster. This one's called Postones. You've guessed it, it's free jazz, of course. And here's the band here. You have one sidelong track called Day One, and then some other, 3 other tracks on the B-side. Some visuals there. Rashid Ali, of course, is playing the split drums and electronic drum kit. But the other thing about this is you do have Bird Lancaster on sax, but Vito Ricky actually plays the congas. So it's quite a joyous trip. Postones, certainly expected to be one of the top jazz albums of the year. And mysteriously, with no track listings on the label. Tamika Reed. People will know Tamika from a couple of my other videos where she's released jazz albums of the year. She's on cello here with Mary Halverson on guitar, Thomas Fujiwara on drums, and Jason Roback on bass. And it says cassette, so yes, there is some found samples on this. Tamika Reed continues to lead the way with her take on modern jazz. And the first track, Dance Skip Hop, I guess provides some sort of insight into the type of music that is being played here. Next up, I'm not too sure if this is an old release or a new release. When I think about it more, it's definitely a new release. It's Brian Jackson, him of fame with Gil Scott-Heron, and here he is going through, on this triple album, his massive back catalogue, and you do get some classics here with, I guess, some MCs and guest vocalists. You do get The Bottle, which features Omar, and Winter in America, which features Rich Medina. Brian Jackson's handled some by himself with New York City. Ultimately, you get a tour through Brian Jackson's back catalogue, and it is a very good reflection of what he is like live. Brave to have a triple album, and the album's called Now More Than Ever, and I guess that's a reflection of Brian's view of the current situation when it comes to the US. Like Kamassing Washington? Yeah, I do. And this one is something that fits into that canon. So that is Aaron Shaw, and the other key name on here is Carlos Nino, who people will know from various international anthems. Comes with a nice inner. Aaron's leads everything off with bass clarinet, flutes, and he plays a bit of tenor. Certainly jazz that is spiritual, and not so much on the free side. The album's on Leaving Records, and features Sam Reed on piano and Alex Smith on drums, and Carlos Nino, as mentioned before, on percussion. Something that's moving modern jazz forward is this album, and so it is, by Aaron Shaw. Great picture of Aaron there on the inner. Okay, more jazz, and this one is a vibe-based album, and the vibist is Amelia Godoa, and the drumming is produced by no other than Sven Ark Johansson. Yeah, a free vibe album. Do they really make albums like this anymore? Anyway, it's positively on 45 RPM, and comes with some nice custom labels. Okay, still on the jazz vibe, we have Ahmed. And Ahmed's actually a band, and it features Pat Thomas on piano, Joel Grip on double bass, Anton and Gerbil on drums, and Seymour Wright on alto saxophone. A double album that is, I would say, a spiritual jazz view of the world. Certainly there is some Middle Eastern time changes within, but ultimately it's spiritual. Undoubtedly probably one of the key jazz that released this year. Recorded and mixed by Benedict Lambden at the Fish Factory Studios in London, and mastering was by Andreas Lupo Lubush. So you know it's going to sound good. Nice gatefold there, new spiritual jazz, but certainly with a Middle Eastern bent. Okay, let's hit some reissues, a bit of jazz and a bit of world. Okay, let's start off with Caccia Pari Rava. This is by Enrico Rava, and a classic album that's a little bit Don Cherry, a little bit Miles Davis. Could have easily been released on ECM. Recorded in Milan, and I think initially issued on NPS, so it's been licensed for this reissue. Fantastic market mastering. If you like your jazz free and a little bit out, and you've gone beyond the first 100 jazz albums you need to have, you definitely need this. So, Caccia Pari Rava. Next up, we have a world music classic, and here we are. It's David Z. On this we have viola, bongos, tambour. It's a pretty interesting ride. Comes in a fantastic gatefold. sleeve. And is actually seen as a Angolan classic. Unfortunately, after Z's assassination in 1977, this album was banned for years, but it does live on as a vital work of resistance and beauty. Not impossible to find an original, but to find one in good shape maybe is impossible. This makes it affordable and sounding the best for everyone. Okay, big one. The Train. Unsure if this is Record Store Day. I thought it saw being managed and mentioned as Record Store Day, but when I bought it, it didn't have any of that sort of information. What we do here is if we have Train live at the Antibes International Jazz Festival in 1965. We're about to start hitting peak Train for me, and across this four record set, we do get the full Antibes concert as well as a similar period from in Paris. We have Mackay Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, and Elvin Jones joining Coltrane. 4 albums, it's massive. It's the 1965 complete concerts. The Train is starting to get a little bit out on this. He's prepping for what was about to come in the 60s, late 60s, and this is a key part of that. Okay. I say it every time. You can see it behind me. Blue Note's my favourite label. My favourite way to consume Blue Note is through the classic and tone poets. So here's one I didn't have, and it's Easy Walker by Stanley Tarantine. He's doing a Buddy Johnson song, some Billy Taylor songs. Once again, mastered by Kevin Gray. So you know what you're getting. Love him or loathe him. But certainly, if you're a jazz fan and you do want to have a sizable overview of the Blue Note label, there's no better way of doing this, and they're super affordable. Staying on Blue Note, there we go, a tone poet, Tyrone Washington. This has Kenny Barron on piano, Reggie Workman on bass, and Joe Chambers on drums. We do have 6 Washington originals, and of course the beauty of tone poets is we do get the fantastic packaging. There we are. There's some Francis Wolff photography in the center there. Joe Harley still doing a fantastic job at supervising these. Let's hope people don't take these reissues for granted. Blue Note Records has never been more accessible and sounded so good as a broad piece of work as it has in the last 10 years or so. Okay. More ways to buy classic jazz and get definitive versions of albums? Probably. Thelonious Monk, Alone in San Francisco, reviewed with 5 stars and downbeat upon release on the original Jazz Classics label through Craft. Once again, mastered by Kevin Gray, pressed at RTI. We have a classic album in a premium presentation. You probably only need 1 copy of this album, and if you're going to have one, this would be the one to have. I have an earlier Japanese reissue and thought, look, I'm going to upgrade. I'll just go with the OJC. It's got to be the easiest way to have the best version of this album, giving the advantage advances in mastering and pressing technology. It's unaccompanied piano, so if that's your thing, which it is for me, I enjoy that. And I probably lean towards more Cecil Taylor, but you can't go past Thelonious Monk. Okay, now we're going to breach the realm now between rock and jazz. So this is the Mesthetics, and it features Brendan Canty, Joe Lully, from a heap of Discord bands who have quite a punk pedigree. But the other thing that is present on this album is James Brandon Lewis as they reconvene the Mesthetics. Now, it's on Impulse, which gives you the feeling it's jazz. And as a jazz album, this is not brilliant. But if you think of it as a punk and jazz album, what you have is a very lively mix of what punk and jazz can be, and also if you like weird punk, and that's the way I like to see this more than jazz, as weird punk, certainly an album to have. James Brandon Lewis, certainly at the peak of his game there on saxophone. Okay, metal, let's get into it. Let's get at my favourite metal band, possibly of all time. And we have Sunno here. And they've actually moved from Southern Lord over to Sub Pop. And we get a double album. Very, very thick packaging. This is dark, doomy drones. I think it's good they've made their way to Sub Pop because they are really part of the Earth family of bands, and there they are in their grim robes. Like all loser vinyl, comes in colours. This one's a fantastic blue. And there you go, you get the Sub Pop label there as well. More of the same from Sunno. Does come with an obi, and if you like the rest of their oeuvre, be certain to pick it up. Okay, next up we have Roy Montgomery. Guitars Infernal. Recorded home on his Tascam 8-track digital recorder. Roy is a New Zealand legend, most notably in the Pin Group, and also giving me a terrible decision what to make, because the hype sticker does sort of help with the album artwork, but I think I can remove this one. Roy plays mostly instrumental, guitar-based incisions. It's certainly rock, but not out there rock. Certainly one of the more sensitive instrumental guitarists out there. Okay, next up we have the Twilight Sad. Robert Smith's favourite band, allegedly, and he actually appears on this album. The Twilight Sad, they have a dark jangle about them, which is what interests me. Certainly post-punk, and the presence of Robert Smith, I guess, adds to their mystery. Yeah, now there's some yellow vinyl for you. Okay, next up we have Hens on Leg with their album Discombobulated. This features Richard Dawson. Can't believe the prog album of the year has already been released. I'd be very surprised if anyone gets near this. If you enjoy Slap Happy, Henry Cow, this is the album for you. Some nice custom inner labels there, and we get some artwork there that certainly doesn't reflect the music that's inside. If you like the bands I just mentioned and the rock in opposition side of prog, certainly this one would probably be an album you'd be interested in. Okay. Next up we have the Heads, and their album is Your Pretty Place Is Going to Hell. And if that sounds familiar to people, you might be aware of the Stooges track, Your Pretty Face Is Going to Hell. This has Paul Allen on guitars, Wayne Maskell on drums, H.A. Morgan on bass, and Simon Price on guitar vocals. Recorded in Bristol at Joe's Garage. Mastered by John McBain. You're thinking the Stooges? Yeah, think correct. Anyone who watches this channel knows I'm all in on the Stooges, and this is one of the better reincarnations of that band that is currently doing the rounds. It's a double album. You get a bit of a swirl and you get some psychedelic. So the Heads are really the psychedelic Heads. Another favourite of mine. I first came across Bill Orcutt when he was in Harry Pussy, and their brand of skronky no-wave guitar noise. Now, Bill's been solo for quite a while now, and he really hasn't let up, whether he's being inventive with synthesizers or through some unusual guitar work. And this is on his Palella label and released. And yes, he is back in guitar mode. So Bill Orcutt cutting loose on a modified instrument and leading the way for out there guitar music. Okay, next up, Kim Gordon. I am a absolute Sonic Youth believer, and I certainly believe in Kim Gordon. 70 years old plus, hasn't looked so good. Kind of made me realise that things were changing when Kim Gordon is closer in age to my mother than she is to me. Hard to know which version for me to go to for this, but it is on Matador, and certainly she has returned to more guitar-based music, still at the forefront of what sound can be and what music can be, but certainly not as electronic as her last one. Versions to choose. Well, I went with the Japanese version. You got a poster, you got some nice little booklets. It seemed the way to go for the penultimate version. Okay. More weird punk. And what we have here is Doc Flippers and Human Pork. This is dark punk, and even though it's called Doc Flippers, and it's got nothing to do with Flipper, it does remind me of Flipper. Human Pork is the name of the album. It's dark and it's hard punk. Favourite track would be Working Class Losers, reflecting maybe on myself there. Okay, get ready for the hate, Mick. Morrissey. I'm all in on the Smiths. I'm all in on Morrissey. All in on Johnny Marr. I try to hold back, but I never do. So I've just decided to stop fighting it. This is Morrissey finally being able to release an album following a lot of, I guess, record company issues. Morrissey is a bit of a jerk and cancels concerts I found him hard to give up though. I actually find the story fascinating now. This record is as good as anything he's done. I mean, I am looking at Morrissey, Making Faces. It's on red vinyl. I bought the Zoetrope as well, just because it was a Zoetrope. The music is good, as is Johnny Marr's has been. Of course, this is nowhere near as fantastic as the Smiths. But you do get to see where he sits, and he does do a song about Lester Bangs and how he views him and going into the current. Okay, RSD Love. This wasn't readily available in Australia, but it certainly came through. So Campervan Beethoven doing Fleetwood Mac's Tusk. Tusk is a fantastic album. A lot of depth in that. And Campervan do their best to have some fun with it, but in the end deliver somewhat of an indie classic. This was originally only available on CD, so it's good to get it from a double LP point of view, and a nice embossed cover there, and a nice sort of play on bringing down the system, but also on the Fleetwood Mac Tusk artwork. Okay, Sonic Youth. Now what we have here is Diamond C, and what happens is they've employed plunderphonic maestro John Oswald to take on 32 versions of the Diamond C, put them on top of each other, and I guess the artwork reflects the 12-inch of the Diamond C. Of course, with electronics, it's all made a lot easier. There we are, the band there in Happier Times, and this is actually released through sonicyouth.com. Good to see Thurston and Kim able to collaborate to release some of this music to us all. Okay, there's some new releases there leading into some reissues. And here we have Hernan Roche, and this is Mexican experimental rock. Psychedelic, undoubtedly, but also very much in the rock realm. Once again, an album that would be very difficult to find. Munster have reissued it, and given the way it is considered in the pantheon of Mexican rock, certainly a valuable addition. Okay, everyone will know this. Zappa and Beefheart. This is a reissue of Bongo Fury. There's the lads there. I'm all in on Beefheart, and I'm mostly in on Zappa. This comes with a poster. It has 2 LPs. The first LP is the 50th anniversary of Bongo Fury, probably sounding as good as it's ever sounded. And there's Bonus Fury on side 3 and 4. Released through Zappa Records. It's been done well. So if you're thinking of buying Bongo Fury, and you're not all in on Zappa or Beefheart, certainly this would be the version to get. Some nice double albums there. Okay. For those of us who are addicted to Japanese rock, and that is me, we have a album that's been reissued in a form we can all get, and it's Music Transonic and Mainliners, Solid Static. How's this for beautiful artwork? That's what sits inside of it there. More blasted out rock from the extremities of psychedelia and the Stooges. It's just as mysterious as the packaging. If you're all in bands like I am, like Fritz and Keiji Haino's rock music pieces, you need that. If not, at least with a fantastic artwork. Now, we've talked a little bit about Stooges love, and well, you don't get any more Stooges than Funhouse, and this is the Rhino High Fidelity version. Look, the way I see these Rhino High Fidelity versions, the ones that I have, and I've got two of these, they're probably the definitive modern versions of these albums. The one that Warner Brothers released, probably through Rhino maybe 10 years ago now, was perfectly fine. And if this album doesn't mean a lot to you, that version would more than suffice. I have multiple versions of this album, everything from a Russian press to a first press. So I'm all in. Did this add something new? Yes, it did. So on the vintage press, you do get the original vibe of the album, but with the Rhino represses, they do add a modern tinge to them, and the mastering, I guess, brings out some different aspects to it. This is thick, this is heavy. If you love this album, and it's a cornerstone of my music collection, you need to consider whether you do need it for the cost, but one of those albums you could invest in continually and always be happy with the outcome. Okay, that finishes the rock aspect of the vinyl manifest. It's quite a long one, isn't it, guys? So let's keep going. London Clay. Now, this is on Livuda Asenmus, so an electronic album, this one. And these guys specialise on online synths, and mainly ones that are ancient. So I've read interviews where they said the synths they use for this album are now no longer available. If you like your minimal electronics, post-punk feel with vocals, definitely a good album for this year. Let's hit some dub. Here we are. Adrian Sherwood remixing Nightmares on Wax on a shared issue between On You Sound and Warp. The Nightmares on Wax album is fun, but I much prefer Space Out of Dub. I'm all in on Sherwood. His album from last year was certainly one to get, and if you believe in On You Sound, certainly worth your while. Once again, I went for the Japanese version just because it had an obi. Okay, great electronic albums released this year. Let's not go too far from Seafeel and Soul HZ. This is electronica that is slow, maybe even glacial, but certainly has a bit of rhythm behind it. Written by Mark Clifford, but with vocals by Sarah Peacock. Certainly evokes a creepy sound, and one of the key electronic albums of 2026, no doubt. Okay, let's keep going with some electronic albums, and this does lead into experimental territory, but this is a reissue of the Ryuichi Sakamoto and Toshiyuki Tachitori album, Disappointed, recorded in 1976, using the technology of the time. But what it really does feature is grand piano, cymbals, bells, woodblocks, gong, but put into a modern context. I'm all in Ryuichi Sakamoto. This album, difficult to find in its initial form, recorded at Goa Music Studios in 1975, and certainly Sakamoto proves to be at the peak of his powers and recording some avant-garde improvisational music, but certainly with a Japanese feel. Okay, more old friends, and this time we have Jacques Baracol, the legendary French trumpet player, double bass player, experimental musician. This is a latest album for him called Stasi. Certainly using double bass, and his voice expands into a part electronic album. This was recorded, some of the voices date back to 1996, and it's been assembled by Vincent Epley. It does feature collage pieces, but it's a little bit more song-based than that. So if you're used to his other albums, in particular, I would say Parallels, you'll enjoy this one. Okay, Avant Classical. So this one features electric bass, synth, electronics, guitar, but it certainly feels more in the classical vein. Barbara Hannigan, Massimio Pupilio, and David Chalman. This is, I guess this would fall into the avant-garde sphere, where everything is, I guess, considered, but also calling on some classical type heritage. And there is vocals on this, so I won't say it's opera, but there is that feel to it. Okay, some Italian experimental electronic music kings. And what we have coming up is My Cat is an Alien. Now, My Cat is an Alien have existed for 25 plus years, and this is their latest album. They've released albums with paintings, CDRs by the thousand, and an interesting book on their favourite free jazz releases. So certainly they are heavily involved in the scene. There we go. Limited edition of 99. Transparent blue smoke and vinyl. Comes with a huge poster. This is a limited number. I did mention some of their earlier albums came with paintings, and what you do get is a booklet with considered prints and drawings from My Cat is an Alien, certainly leading the ambient side of the Italian underground. And this is produced by My Cat is an Alien in multi-dimensional full dynamics frequency spectrum. They continue to release some of the best drone-based psychedelia in the world. Time for some reissues. Here we are. Luciano Celio, and this is on Superior Viaduct, and not too sure if this is prog or it's experimental, but definitely in the weird prog folk library. An Italian album that does go for a lot of money and a unique listening experience. And wow, I haven't been waiting for this one to come out in a single album edition. This is by Ground Zero, Revolutionary Peking Opera. featuring Otomo Yoshidi. And what Otomo does here is creates a noise opera. Let's get a little bit out there. A key release of the Japanese underground, and its name, Revolutionary Peking Opera, is exactly what it is. Christian Marclay sampled on this, so you know what to expect. And finally, a hip-hop album. Yes, I do love great hip-hop. I don't get enough of it. I don't know if it's because I'm not enough invested in the scene or there's so many bad albums. But anyway, this one came out on Ipecac. So that's the Melvins label, so hard for me to miss. This is somewhere between hip-hop and, I guess, experimental hip-hop, or definitely conscious, and certainly a noise element. Brilliance of a Falling Moon, so far my favourite hip-hop album of the year. Wow, that was a massive roundup. Thanks for listening through, if you made it through. And that was Vinyl Manifest for March, April, May. Talk soon.